Ribeye has been crowned the most popular and most loved steak cut, and this title is well-deserved. Its excellent marbling and tender, flavorful meat leave your mouth full of mouth-watering juice that will keep you coming back for more. But how is this infamous steak produced? Before your favorite steak becomes, well, steak, it was the first part of a cow, and this cow's journey begins years before on the farm where it is raised. The best steaks come from calves that feed on their mother's milk for 6 to 12 months. After weaning, they are sent to a backgrounding where they feed on the grass on a pasture or dry lot pen till they mature and develop. Finally, the cattle move on to the feedlot, where they are fed a high-energy grain-based diet, primarily consisting of corn and other grains, to increase their weight and improve their body condition rapidly. At the factory, the butcher hangs several cattle carcasses on hangers, and carcass fabrication begins. The first step is to split the animal down the center, separating the left and right sides. Each side is then divided into the forequarter, which is the chuck, rib, and plate, and the hindquarter, which is the loin, round, and flank. The meat cut used for ribeye steak is the ribeye muscle, located in the rib primal, between the 5th and 12th ribs. The rib primal comes from the front section of the backbone, a tender and flavorful part of the animal, making it the perfect cut for steaks. The butcher carefully cuts out this section with a saw and trims it to create the ribeye subprime. Tens of cattle go through this process. During this fabrication process, USDA graders evaluate the carcass for quality and yield factors, such as marbling, maturity, and muscle fat ratio. These grades, which range from prime to select, determine the ultimate value and market placement of ribeye steaks. Prime-grade meats are usually the best and most expensive. After the butcher cuts the ribs, they are taken to the dry aging cooler. This is a large room with a controlled temperature and humidity, usually around 0.2 degrees Celsius. An employer arranges the ribs on the dry-aged shelves, and controlled air moves around, aging the meat over the course of 28 to 45 days. This dry aging process is simply a way to leave the meat to mature. The oxygen in the room triggers natural enzymes within the meat that break down the muscle fibers. These enzymes are aerobic bacteria, so they need oxygen to survive and work on the meat. If you are wondering what makes the steak so tender that it almost melts in your mouth like butter, it's the aging process. When the enzyme breaks down the meat muscle tissues, the meat becomes tenderized, making it juicier. But that's not all there is to dry aging. During the 28 to 45 days the meat spends in the room, it loses almost half of its weight as its moisture content evaporates. This means that the flavor will be more concentrated because of the reduced moisture, making it more flavorful. Not all those unique flavors are thanks to moisture loss. Chemical changes also play a great role in giving steak that unique taste that leaves your taste buds tingling. While the meat ages, some of the flavor compounds and molecules break down or get changed, giving the meat a different flavor profile. The longer it stays, the funkier the flavor. The best steakhouses go for the legendary dry aging process to give you that top-notch steak. So if you ever wonder why steak is so expensive, it's because it literally loses almost 50% of its mass while aging. That's the sacrifice it must pay for perfection. Once the ribeye matures, it's worthy of becoming a ribeye steak. Tens of primals leave the maturation room and head to the next section. A factory worker arranges the meat mass on a conveyor belt that moves it to a cutting machine. The machine has a bandsaw that cuts through the meat, removing the bone at the spine as the belt moves the meat across the blade. Next, they load the ribeye on another conveyor belt through another saw that cuts each ribeye into perfectly sized steaks. At this stage, the meat still looks rough with excess fat and decayed outer meat, so a worker offloads the steaks from the machine and takes them to get dressed. The steaks get trimmed, first by removing the rotten exterior, which becomes waste, and then by removing the excess fat. Once the steak gets a touch-up, it is ready for packaging. Factory workers arrange the steaks on individual plastic films, and a sealing machine seals them within a vacuum-sealed wrap. The wraps are labeled, and several steak packages are loaded into boxes and sealed, ready to be sent to retail stores. Happiness means biting a medium-rare steak drenched in mouth-watering Sweet Baby Ray's BBQ sauce. The smoky aroma, the tender, juicy meat, and the perfect balance of sweet and spicy flavors create an experience that satisfies not just your taste buds, but your soul. What's in this bottle and how is it made? You would be shocked to know that some of these ingredients are already in your pantry. Care to find out? Follow me as I take you through a typical day in Ken's Food Mega Factory, where 1.2 million barbecue sauces are made. First, the ingredients. The star of the show is the hundreds of freshly picked, juicy tomatoes that start their journey from the farm to Ken's Foods facility in Romeoville, Illinois. At the factory, the hot red tomatoes are transferred from the trucks onto the conveyor, and their journey to our homes begins from here. The conveyor moves the tomatoes to a rinser, where they are sprayed with clean water to remove dirt and other materials like leaves and stems. From the rinser, the tomatoes travel steadily to a sorting table, where they are sorted according to size and quality. This process is done manually because Ken does not want you to end up with a sauce that doesn't test right. After sorting, the tomatoes are once again subjected to another refreshing bath for thorough cleaning. The next stage is very exciting, kind of like something you'd see on an episode of Top Chef. In this stage, the tomatoes are transferred to a giant blender with sharp blades that chops and blends the tomato till it becomes a puree. This smooth tomato paste sits ready to be combined with other ingredients to create the classic Sweet Baby Ray's BBQ sauce that brings every meal to life. One thing that sets the original Sweet Baby Ray sauce apart is its sweet taste, which has left people wondering what is in it. In fact, the sweet taste of the sauce was Larry's decision. He wanted the sauce to match its name, so he threw in several ingredients like corn syrup, molasses, pineapple juice concentrate, and other unique ingredients. However, it's not just the sweet stuff that's in there. It's a fine mix of sweet, hot, and smoke that makes the most loved BBQ sauce in America. Unlike most sauces that use bell peppers or cayenne red pepper, Sweet Baby Ray is made of the best Tabasco sauce made by McClenny Company in Avery Island, Louisiana. After blending the tomato, the special Tabasco sauce, made from Mexican Tabasco pepper, is added to the mix alongside other ingredients. In a giant blender, other ingredients are stirred into the tomato paste. The aromatic blend of spices and herbs is carefully measured and added to the tomato base, creating a symphony of flavors. Distilled vinegar follows, swirling the sauce into a rich, balanced flavor. Brown sugar, corn syrup, pineapple juice concentrate, and other sweet ingredients add the undoubtable sweet taste that doesn't dominate your meal, but smoothly complements it. Only about 2% of this mix is salt, which is added for taste. You've probably noticed a smoky flavor in this sauce? Well, you are correct. The smoky flavor doesn't only come from your barbecue. There's definitely something smoking in the mix. We'll get there soon. Once all ingredients are mixed thoroughly in the blender, it's time to cook the sauce so it's ready to use straight from the bottle. Each ingredient syncs with each other, creating a taste sensation that has made Sweet Baby Ray's a household name. A bit of its unique taste also comes from the signature flavors they throw into the sauce. Caramel color is added and mixed thoroughly into the almost perfect mix, with cornstarch being the last major ingredient that goes in. The measured cornstarch, pre-mixed with water, is turned into the sauce to make it thicker, giving it just the right viscosity. The sauce cooks for longer to perfectly mix in the starch and thicken the sauce. To perfect this sweet and slightly spicy sauce, it needs a bit of smoky flavor, which the cooking process doesn't give. While the sauce simmers, they turn in natural smoke flavor, adding a subtle hint of char, the familiar aroma of backyard barbecues and summer cookouts. Did you know that Sweet Baby Ray's BBQ sauce has become the second best-selling barbecue sauce in the United States? Those who don't love it have at least tried it out, and that explains why the factory produces a whopping 1.2 million bottles of your favorite sauce every day. Once the sauce is ready and has achieved the perfect Sweet Baby Ray's taste, it's time to pack them into millions of bottles. But they have to get on the conveyor belt again for the last time. The sauce is packed while still hot to avoid contamination and air pockets, ensuring you get the best quality sauce. At the packaging line, sterilized glass bottles are neatly arranged, waiting to be filled. The sauce is pumped into a distiller, and a conveyor belt moves the glass bottles to the distiller, where each bottle is filled to the brim with mouth-watering BBQ sauce. As they move from the distiller, a capping machine places the cap and seals it to the bottle, ensuring it's airtight. Once sealed, the sauce undergoes pasteurization to extend its shelf life and eliminate any bacteria that may have escaped the cooking process. This involves heating the sealed bottle at a specific temperature for a predetermined duration, killing pathogens without altering the flavor and texture. Next, the bottled sauce is cooled to room temperature before labeling. A conveyor belt moves the 18 oz bottles in a straight line to the labeling machine, which stamps labels on the bottles, proudly displaying the iconic Sweet Baby Ray's logo. Now, they are ready for packaging. The legendary original Sweet Baby Ray's BBQ sauce remains a staple in the BBQ sauce world, but many variants have been created ever since, drawing inspiration from flavors around the world. The main categories include barbecue sauces, wing and marinade sauces, and dipping sauces. If you need something spicier, the company offers a spicy version of the original sauce, as well as other spicy options like smoked chipotle and kickin' barbecue. For a hybrid experience, there's the sweet and spicy, offering the best of both worlds. After filling and labeling, the bottles are packed into cartons and sealed for shipment. But before the sauce reaches you, it must pass a quality test to ensure you get nothing but the best and safest sauce. This includes checks for taste, color, flavor, and viscosity. To guarantee safety, it also undergoes bacteria and virus tests. The company strictly complies with all applicable food regulations. Big boxes of the original Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce are loaded into distribution vehicles, heading to your local store, while some are shipped to other countries. Who doesn't love pancakes? Most of us start our mornings with a neat stack of perfectly fluffy golden brown pancakes pulled straight from the freezer and heated up. Frozen pancakes are the best friend we didn't know we needed. They are so easy to deal with and never go out of style. Every day after the ingredients arrive at the factory, production begins in a big blender where all the dry agents are mixed. The person in charge of this process will pour bags of baking powder and flour into the blender, then a bit of salt, and a mix of the signature secret flavorings that create the unique taste of these pancakes. The blender then gets to work by thoroughly mixing the dry ingredients together, kneading them into each other to form a dry ingredient premix. Before production starts, the wet ingredients are kept in storage tanks. The eggs are whisked using an industrial whisk till they are creamy and ready to join the batter. Look how perfect that is. Clip of whisked eggs. Now it's time to mix the wet and dry ingredients to create the batter. Another blender receives the wet ingredients from their different storage tanks: water, whisked eggs, liquefied sugar, and soya bean oil. Off the go, ready to join the premix and become a premium batter. But only the best batter with the right viscosity can make perfectly shaped pancakes. So before getting to the oven, the batter must be tested for viscosity. The next step involves carefully measuring the batter. Workers scoop a good quantity of the batter and pour it into a metallic device equipped with a small gate. As the gate opens, the batter flows down, and the worker measures its consistency. The batter must flow at the perfect speed, not too fast and not too slow, to ensure the ideal viscosity. Once the batter passes this test, it's ready for the oven. But how do we achieve those perfectly round pancake shapes? Let's move on to the pancake depositing machine to find out. From the blender, the batter gets pumped through a hose into the automated pancake depositing machine. This machine has several precision nozzles that shoot out an equal amount of batter onto continuously moving hot griddle belts where the pancakes will be cooked. These griddles have been oiled beforehand to ensure the pancakes don't stick to the tray. And thanks to the excellent viscosity, each pancake is the same shape and size, about 10 centimeters. Underneath the moving griddle is a gas heater, so immediately the pancakes land on the griddle, and they begin to cook. Let them cook now. As the belts travel down the machine, the batter is cooked to golden brown perfection. And before you know it, a stainless steel pancake flipper flips each well-arranged row of pancakes to the other side. There are two flippers spaced so that while one flips a row of pancakes, the other waits. While the other flips the next row, the other adjusts. This way, all the pancakes get turned. Within a few seconds, all the pancakes will be cooked, and as they get to the end of the griddle, the conveyor passes a roller, causing the pancakes to fall off onto the next conveyor. The roller ensures that each pancake lands flat on the conveyor, preventing any from folding up. As the baked pancakes move along the conveyor in neat rows, the regular pancakes proceed to the next stage. Meanwhile, the pancakes meant for sandwiching continue on the conveyor. Here, a filling depositor adds chocolate, jam, or other fillings to one row of pancakes while leaving the next row plain. the skipped row will get a heat imprint, giving it the signature browning. As soon as both sides are ready, the machine lifts all imprinted pancakes and places them on top of the row of jam-filled pancakes. Next, a presser presses both sides together, making a sandwich. This process continues till all the pancakes are closed up. This whole process takes just a few minutes. Now that we're done baking, the pancakes are carefully transferred to a cooling station, where powerful fans rapidly lower their temperature. This quickly cools the pancakes, locking in the fluffy texture and preventing them from getting soggy. The cooled pancakes then move on to the packaging line where they are boxed and ready for distribution. As the conveyor moves them to the packaging line, pancakes which are imperfect or damaged will be automatically rejected and diverted away from the production line. Only the perfectly rounded, fluffy pancakes get through to the first stage of packaging. These pancakes are then stacked by a worker, creating uniform portions that are ready for flow wrapping. They move further down the line to a high-speed packager that seals the pancakes in airtight plastic film, locking in freshness and preventing freezer burn. Once they go into the film, the packaging process is paused for a while. Remember, these are frozen pancakes, so they must be frozen first before going into boxes. This happens in a blast freezing tunnel where the packaged pancakes are subjected to intense cold temperatures, around -28 degrees Celsius. They rapidly freeze to preserve their fresh taste and texture. After this, they are ready to be boxed, labeled, and shipped out to grocery stores and restaurants around the world.